What up, guys? Today I want to talk about UFC 248, and we saw one of the greatest fights of all time. Full stop. Hands down. No man, no female, no asterisks. One of the greatest fights of all time. Of all times! Of all times! We saw Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Now, Weili was supposed to be the powerhouse, knockout artist, more submission game, and 20 wins with only one loss, up and coming, and the current champ. Joanna was supposed to probably be the more technical striker, and over a 5-round fight was supposed to have an advantage because of her cardio. What we saw, though, was an all-out 5-round war with some of the worst damage visibly that I've seen on any fighter ever, hands down. If you look at the photos, if you haven't seen it, you gotta well watch it. So let's check it out. All right, guys, so firstly, let's talk about Weili Zhang. First Chinese UFC champion. Absolute beast. Compact, muscular, explosive, powerful. Her last fight, she knocked out her opponent under a minute with crazy knockout power. So what I saw from Weili during this fight was I saw her trying to close the distance, trying to make it into a brawl, and I saw her going outside of her game plan a little bit. I thought she would have used a lot more grappling and tried to go for a lot more takedowns, but she actually just caught in with Joanna under this striking, and I think that she was probably trying to knock her out. So, because before the fight, she was actually saying, I'm going to knock out Joanna. So she kind of had that chip on her shoulder, and going into the fight, I would have liked to have seen a lot more mixing it up, a lot more takedowns, a lot more grappling, and keeping Joanna on her toes. But what we saw literally from her was striking at close range, and she was throwing combinations. She was landing the heavier strikes and the more powerful punches, because she's more of a power puncher than Joanna, but she wasn't able to land any knockdowns. While Joanna did have a lot of damage, she wasn't able to land any knockdowns or get any takedowns. But Weili, where she really impressed me, was her cardio. I thought for sure she'd be gassed by the end of a second, third, and certainly in the 4th and 5th round, I thought Weili would gas out, but she didn't. I also thought with a bit of adversity, because we haven't seen her in severe adversity before, that she would maybe fold under pressure, but she didn't. So I was really impressed by her, and she showed that she's a champion. Really close decision, but we'll talk about that at the end. Now, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I mean, fuck. So she's gone from being 6-time defending champion, baddest girl since Ronda Rousey, and then since Amanda Nunes. She was the baddest bitch on the planet. 6-time defending champions. Then she gets knocked out by Rose. Then she has another win. Then she has another loss. She fights Valentina Shevchenko. Tough fight, right? So she's had a couple of losses, but she was champion for so long. Then she's coming back, probably for one of her last chances to become champion again. And I thought physically, like if we look at the detail here, I thought physically she actually looked really, really strong. She looked really good. Better, physically more strong than I've ever seen her look. Because normally she just looks, I don't know, she's always had those shoulders, but she just looks thicker than she normally looks. Previously, she kind of almost looked like she was like a female cyclist. She wasn't looking strong. So physically, I saw that she looked really, really good. But where I thought she really let herself down was she just kept getting into these exchanges, close exchanges that are inside Weili's range, where Weili has probably a power advantage, maybe even a speed advantage, and Joanna was getting into that range and throwing combo, throwing strikes and landing strikes, but also taking strikes as well. So she was throwing 2 or 3, but taking 2 or 3. And I thought she would have done way better if she just was like, pop, pop, move. 1, 2, step back, circle around, move, jab, jab, move. And use her length, but she just didn't use her length. So I thought she could have won that. I thought she was, she didn't get taken down. She was putting the pressure on. She was moving forward, but I thought where she really let herself down was she was just throwing these 5-punch combos inside range and taking too many shots. She should have been more cautious and fight a lot more of a similar fight, maybe even to what Israel Adesanya fought with Yoel, where he was kind of very, very careful in pulling back and a lot of technical patience. But let's look at the stats. So here's the stats. Joanna won on the stats. 196 to 170 for Joanna. So, Conor McGregor tweeted out that Joanna actually won. Well, if you look at the stats, she did. I mean, there was one takedown there, but I think she got straight back up. So you can't really necessarily count that as a significant advantage. But we've seen it so many times in UFC. It's like fucking every single time recently, we've seen the champion get favored by the judges. So if you're a fighter, you got to know that, like, if you're close to winning the championship belt, if you're going into the 5th round, you think that there's a chance it's pretty even. Maybe you think you won, but it's so even that there's a chance that they may have not given it to you. Then you should assume that they didn't give it to you. You should assume they gave it to the champ, because we've seen, especially the Dominic Reyes versus John Jones fight, where John Jones was probably, looking at the stats, probably similar stats to this. Jones got out, Jones lost really, but they gave it to John Jones. So there really, really, really is something there to be said about if you're the contender and you're going in to take the belt, you really got to fucking take that belt. Just take that belt. So Joanna did really well. She should next fight probably be a bit more technical and not get into those close range striking engagements where she's throwing punches, taking punches, punch for punch. She should be a little more technical and pull away. Use her movement. I don't know if this is right, but it says here, it's probably not right. 96 head strikes and 58 leg strikes each. Meaning that Joanna just landed a lot more body shots, but it seems very hard that they landed the exact same number, both on legs and on the head. So in summary, guys, we saw one of the best female fights of all time. We saw 2 really good, really fast, really well-conditioned, ability to go the full 5-round fighters, just taking and landing shots, both offensive and defensive. One of the best fights, hands down, of all time. My question is that where the fuck do they go from here? Now, straight away after the fight, you saw their faces, huge damage taken by both fighters, more damage taken by Joanna, but actually, she always shows damage on her face. Maybe even similar to like a Nate Diaz, who shows very visibly that he's damaged. I think that perhaps the judges looked at Joanna's face and said, look, we can't give it to her. Her whole head is swollen up like this. How are we going to give her, even if she's, landed more strikes, which she did, looking at her visibly, that may have had some, because her face started swelling up around the 4th round, that may have had some sway to how the decisions called the fight. But really what I want to talk about is, what the fuck are they going to do next? It's either going to go one way or the other. It's 2 ways it can go. They both be quiet, Weili fights another fighter, and they forget about Joanna, right? Dominic Reyes is the perfect fucking example. And Chael Sonnen talked about it before, where he said Reyes should be calling and kicking and screaming for a next title fight. But Reyes is not a real, showboater or talking smack. He's not really his style. Joanna can talk some fucking shit. So I'd like to see Joanna talk shit, call it out and say, look, I didn't want to say anything in the night, but I fucking won that fight. I beat her, I outstruck her, and in the rematch, I will fucking knock her out. In the rematch, I will knock her out. I want to see Joanna put her hand up and say, guys, pick me. Me. I want her to see her call for the rematch. Because Weili's not going to call for that rematch. What the fuck would she want the rematch? She just took 5 rounds. She was giving a beating, but also taking a beating. Why would you want that rematch? For your legacy, maybe, but for your intelligence and for your brain cells, and for whatever reason, I would, if I was Weili, I'd be calling out the next guy, the next person, the next girl in line, being like, okay, you're next, let's go. And for Joanna, she needs to call out Weili, and she needs to say she won, and she needs to be clear cut, no gray area. I want a rematch. I deserve the rematch. Fuck you, Weili, and just really create the hype, because that'll be such a good rematch. And when Dana White was asked about it, he didn't say no. They said, would you consider the rematch? He said, well, they're both in hospital. They're both taking damage. We don't know what the damage is like, because none of them did interviews after the fight. We don't know what the damage is like. Let's just talk to them after they get out of hospital. You don't want to ask them, they're in hospital with significant damages perhaps, and you're asking them to do the fight again. But what I took away when he was asked was that Dana White would definitely make that rematch. All that needs to be done, it's not about Weili. All that needs to be done is Joanna needs to call her out, go for the rematch. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Obviously, I'm just starting out, so whoever's watching this is probably like my best friend or my mum. Thanks, Mum, for watching the video. But I'd love it if you guys could like and subscribe and just forward it on to any friends of yours if you thought the video was helpful. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching it. I'm Sean Berto. Chat soon. Bye.